Hey guys, welcome back to the Transformation Church Weekly Message Recap Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Justin Oswald, with the other host, Brad Livingston.
What up? We here.
John's here.
We out here.
Behind
John's
the camera.
I'm here.
He is here.
John is
We're all here.
It's good.
We're all here. I'm still tired.
Man, that time change. I hate time change, man. I hate daylight savings. It's such a waste of everything.
Well, I was I'm all tied up here. No, I was really tired yesterday for some reason.
We lost.
There's the reason.
It just felt worse than that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Felt like I lost a couple hours or something.
Well, Saturday was a busy day.
There's that
We
too.
did more on Saturday than we usually do. Well, I usually do.
And Friday. Well, oh wait, y'all weren't there for that.
I didn't do Friday.
Setting up.
No, I
Yeah,
wasn't there for that.
I did play golf Friday, so that was a lot.
Well, Saturday was. That was a lot. Then we were at dinner late.
We were out late. Yeah, and I did. Yeah, so we had the packing event. Then I went home and did yard work for 2 hours, and then we were at dinner till late. Got in late. Was up not that late, but because I lost an hour, it was late. Yeah. So
I did take a pretty good nap yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah, I messaged the two of you, and you did not message back, which
No.
told me that man is asleep.
I was asleep, and then I woke up in time. My brother was in town last night. They were.
Yeah, I saw the pictures.
Yeah, my brother was in town. There, he was driving through last night. Somebody's moving from San Antonio to Orlando, so they are helping. So, anyways,
Gotcha.
he was coming through. So my dad was home last night. So we all we all went to dinner. So I woke up in time to go to dinner.
Oh, Rocky.
Yeah, so I ate at the fish house. It was good. Pretty good.
How's your dad doing?
He's good. You know.
Is it It's Rockland, or is it Rocky?
Well, it's Rockland and is the name, same as my middle name.
Yeah. Okay. So I thought
But he goes by
always
Rocky.
gone by Rocky.
He's always gone by Rocky. Yeah.
Yeah. No, right on, man.
So no, I missed. I saw the text. I did see it at some point. Then I was trying to get out of the house to make dinner, and I forgot to respond and all that. You know?
So we ended up downtown for a little bit. So we had a rewind. We had a big meal packing event on Saturday.
We did.
For those that don't know, packed 75,000 meals that were taken to the Dominican in a couple weeks. Myself and a whole team is going to the Dominican on a mission trip, building a playground, distributing these meals and doing all that. So our church packed 75,000 meals on Saturday. And so we did that. And two guys from Kids Around the World were here from the missions organization to help with the event, and they stayed an extra few days.
Yeah, they came to church.
Came to church with us yesterday, and so yesterday afternoon, I met them downtown for a little bit, and then we hung out for a while. Robbie met us down there.
Oh,
so
nice.
Me, Robbie, and them. And so we were just hanging out, and then they're like, "What are you doing for dinner?" And I was like, "There's a baby shower at my house." So I was like, "Nothing, dude. I'm big chilling." So I took them to the Wacko, whatever, sushi joint. They loved that. They were.
That's a pretty good spot. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. You know, I'm not always one to say let's go get sushi, but because I can get other stuff too.
Yep. Especially dinner. That's where it's really at.
So,
lunch is good, but dinner is the menu.
So this is the new all-you-can-eat sushi spot,
and not the sushi spot that I was talking about yesterday in my sermon or Sunday in my sermon. For the record, I was talking about a totally different spot. This is a new one.
This is a direct competitor to
Sushi
Masa, and
I don't think it's any competition.
And it's better.
It's better.
It's better than Sushi Masa.
So
for lunch, it's $20. All you can eat sushi. They have other stuff too, like
it's not a buffet. It's
fried rice. Yeah, it's good.
Yep.
No, that's cool. No, I like that they came to church. Those guys, real nice guys. We got to know them a little bit Saturday night at dinner, and they wanted to stay for church. I guess. I assume they had a pretty good experience.
Yeah, they love the church, man. Just Brian's kind of in between right now. He's kind of leaving one church, trying to find a new one. He's like, man, dude, I wish we lived here because I'd go to this church in a heartbeat, But
hey,
so that's
that's
always encouraging. You work remote, right? So always super encouraging. To hear that kind of encouragement. And Sunday was a good day. We had a lot of people out. So it's the first Sunday of spring break and time change.
And a little rain.
And rain and baseball season for little leaguers. And so there's some games going on Sunday.
It was wet. I mean, we it was like 150 less people on campus yesterday.
Yeah.
Than what we've been having. Yeah. So a big difference.
A lot of people out. And it was still good. I mean, it was still a great,
it's a good time.
Great weekend. Yeah.
Yeah.
So kind of hit a one-off sermon on Sunday. Wasn't part of a series, just kind of a standalone deal, prepping for our first fruits offering in April. And so, kind of talking about the idea of generosity and favor, blessing, and all those things. And so
it's called The First.
It's called The First. So go check it out if you haven't yet.
Yes.
If you haven't listened to it, go listen to it.
Because you want to be blessed and highly favored.
Blessed and highly favored. That's right.
Oh, I was going to ask y'all about something if y'all seen it, but now I'm drawing I forgot what it was. I should have not even said that. Yeah.
Cool.
It was something about Christianity or something, but I thought it might be a good. It'll come back to me.
Is it the Jesus Revolution movie? Because that's really a thing right now.
Oh my God! Everybody's telling me about this movie.
Yeah.
And have y'all seen it?
No,
I have not seen it.
I thought about taking Ashley tonight.
I did.
I heard it's really.
Y'all want to go tonight?
I heard. Well, I'm not sure if I have time.
Everybody says it's really good, but
I heard like behind the scenes, like a couple of the cast members actually legitimately gave their life to Christ.
Yeah,
that weren't actually saved.
That's so cool, man.
And they actually got baptized in the actual baptism shoot. They were like, hey, like let's do that.
That's cool.
Awesome. So,
it's based on like the underlying the secondary message. This is what someone was telling me yesterday at church. I remember who it was. What was the guy's name from like the Jesus hippie movement? Like the underlying tone, the character in it is obviously it's a real thing, a real guy, and all this. But I don't know, whatever. But
yeah,
I heard it's good. It's just I always leery of these Christian movies because sometimes they're just so cheesy, and I hate to say that,
Yeah,
but apparently this one's good.
Kelsey Grammer. I mean. He's a great actor, and so yeah, I'm gonna go check it out. Everyone's been talking about it anyway. I didn't know if what you were talking about had anything to do with that.
No,
that's just been.
I mean, I guess this movie's got to be worth. I mean, it's got to be worth $10 or whatever, however much a movie costs now. Plus some popcorn and a drink, so $100.
$162. Yeah,
it'd be worth
it. Sense.
Well, I mean, that could be worth something. Putting a date on the one evening and getting a group together or something.
We could do that.
Love to.
Could do that. But because I saw
it. Well, you'll see. Follow us on Instagram. You'll.
Yeah, I saw Chris Hodges at Highlands. On his social, it was like the all staff, but it looked like they had just watched it. So I don't know if somehow Highlands was able to get it where they watched.
I rented out a whole theater and watched.
I mean, it was in their auditorium. So,
word.
Yeah, it's like at their all staff. They were just talking about, so they all watched it.
That's cool.
That's dope.
That's kind of cool. But
we'll do that at our all staff.
Yeah. So, no, I think it's a lot of people saying it's good. So I would definitely watch. I mean, I went I remember when The Shack came out, stuff like that, which, I even went and saw The Shack and I thought it was good. I thought it was a good movie, do I think everything in The Shack was 100% biblical? No, but I don't think it was, that
wasn't the goal.
The point of the movie either.
To inspire. I get it.
Yeah. So, as far as a movie goes, I'll say it was good. Remember, Noah?
Oh yeah,
Noah had people mad.
That was crazy.
Yeah, it did.
No, when them rock things or whatever.
When all that came out.
Boy, people was leaving the theater.
This ain't the Bible. It's not what I learned at VBS.
No, it was not. No, it sure wasn't.
I didn't hear about no rock people. So, exactly. It's there's a lot of that though. Man, you want to know a movie I thought actually I was really intrigued by it. I don't necessarily saying I agree with all of it, but I was intrigued by it was what was the one with Christian Bale as Moses? What was that one called?
Christian Bale?
Didn't he play Moses? I'm looking it up.
This is why we need
the Israelites when they were let out of captivity. What was that movie?
We need a Joe Rogan screen on like a computer where you can pull stuff up. We could see it.
Is it called Exodus?
Like Theo and Joe Rogan in the
We just need to get a small screen and put it in.
Yeah. And then you could search stuff we could look at.
Exodus, Gods and Kings. Christian Bale plays Moses.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't think
I don't know why I've never seen
Y'all
that.
never seen that?
I don't think so.
It was only 2014. Anyways, it was pretty good. What I was intrigued by with that movie was their approach to showing how certain things transpired. So, for example, like the rivers turned to blood, right? So, like, we don't have any context to that other than the rivers turned to blood. But in the movie, all like the alligators and crocodiles and fish all started attacking each other in the water, and it
made blood.
And like, so in like elephants crossing were getting attacked by alligators and falling. They were getting just torn apart. And by the time all these animals had torn themselves apart, the water was blood. Like, yeah, pretty much it was like half blood or whatever. And it was like, oh, that's interesting. I'm not saying that's how the Bible. I'm just saying like it was interesting that was the way in which they took to approach that. So there's a few things in that movie that I was like, oh, that's really, really cool. But there's a couple other things in the movie that was like, oh wow, like it's just you can check it out. Yeah, I'm not saying it's 100% biblically accurate. I'm just saying I can appreciate the way in which they sat in a room and thought, how might the river have turned to blood? Or
yeah, just like where the sea split.
Yeah,
where exactly that happened in the Red Sea. They believe with a strong enough wind, like it. It is.
One thing that I thought was really good in that movie was Moses, played by Christian Bale, was how he, the way that you saw him really experience emotional tension with the Lord over the fact that the Israelites were suffering the plagues just like the Egyptians were. And like you see this, like, because so when you see it, it's like, all the Egyptians were getting him these plagues, but it's like those frogs are everywhere, bro. The locusts were like, and there's this tension between him and God where he's like, we're like, things are getting, and it was almost like things get worse before they get better sometimes type of narrative. He's like, you brought me here, you promised all these things, and now we're not, things are getting worse, they're not getting better. And like that whole watching him go through that gives you a whole new perspective of like, when you read these stories, you can skip over that really easily, and then you start recognizing and go, oh, wow, that's, a lot of tension there. So anyways, it's just really good, man.
I like that kind of stuff.
So
I like stuff to make you think, so I don't want to promote this, but it just happens to be where it is. But the Daily Wire, which is like the Ben Shapiro, they have like a whole network now, like the movies or shows and stuff. Jordan Peterson is now, his stuff is on there.
JP.
Let me tell you, he's got this series on there where I guess it's a continuation from years ago when he put his lectures from when he was lecturing in college on Genesis.
Yep.
Which, as a non-believer, which at least that's what appears, he's a non-believer, at least a few years ago.
Especially then more than now, yeah.
Yeah, so, but he's got a series now. It's just a big round table, and it's him, and it's different theologians from different, like, denominational backgrounds. I think there's a Jewish rabbi, and they're going verse by verse through Exodus. And then every few verses, they stop, and they talk about it, and you get these different perspectives on these, different schools of thought from the different theologians, and like, it's really good. He's just brilliant, and he has his ability to get brilliant people around him too. And they're not talking about it from a sense like if Christians, like if we did like a discussion like that, we'd be coming really from like a, Christians tend to do things evangelistically,
right?
Like to convince you of their point of view, understandably, right. But they don't really approach it that way. They're just all talking about it, and they give their input on what the text is saying based on their discipline or their background as a theologian and as a, philosopher type. It's just really good.
I like that.
Jordan Peterson is just,
JP.
I will promote him because he unfortunately gets lumped in with some of the political guys, but he's just brilliant.
Absolutely.
And now he talks a whole lot. I mean, there's about an 8-minute clip on YouTube where he talks about on Joe Rogan's podcast about the crucifixion, and he gets like he gets teary eyed. He gets emotional. So it's like, if he's not a believer yet, you could really.
He's well on his way.
Yeah. Just
being wooed by the Holy Spirit.
Seriously. So he's just talking about the crucifixion, how it's either insane or it's true. It's kind of, and he says that phrase a lot about a lot of the scriptures. Exodus. It's like it's either insane or it's true. There is no in between, and he talks about why that is, and we've talked about this before. I think about him like literarily talking about the crucifixion, and that type of thing. But he's brilliant. I saw him last year. He came to Pensacola.
Yeah,
it was really good. He was at the Sanger, gave a little lecture. Anyways, first fruits.
Great segue.
Fruits.
Yeah. First. Anyways, with all this said, the first. We Sunday we talked about the first. And in that we talked about a number of different firsts, and really it was really about favor and blessing in our lives, And the big question that we posed at the beginning of the whole thing is, what if you had more influence over living a life of favor and blessing than you thought? What if it's not as much to chance as you think it is? Now, the amount or how much God blessed you or the numerical value you put behind that, like you don't have control over that. Like, but the ability to walk in favor and blessing, you probably have more influence over that than you think you do. And a lot of it stems out of obedience.
I have a hard time with this whole conversation because I have a hard time with this whole conversation because I feel like I would say I'm blessed. I believe I'm blessed. And I follow those principles that we talked about.
Yeah.
There's a part of me that the reason I say I have a hard time is like, even people that may not have it as good as me in our country. And when you say as good as me, what does that mean? Like there's people that make less money than me, not that I make, you know what I'm saying? Like there's people that are less fortunate.
Sure.
The hard part is like, if you're in this country, you're like the most blessed people on the planet.
Top 3% in the world or something.
Yeah. So I have such a hard time with this conversation in a I don't know, from like a logical standpoint, because the whole message, while I think true and all that, is like, is there a point where, like, was there someone sitting in the congregation yesterday and to themselves was like, I've done that. I do tithe. I do these things. And things still aren't great for me. Like, I still have a hard time making ends meet. Almost like they may never say it, but like almost like I hear you, Pastor Brad, but but at the end of the day, is there like is some of it a mind shift of like, man, like maybe you're a week behind on your bills, but like you're in America still, like where it's like the poorest people in this country are still like the richest 1% people in the world. You know what I mean? And that puts things into perspective. So now what does it mean to be blessed? Now, if you do have extra, you do get to go out to eat a couple times a week. You do, have a decent home. You drive a decent car. Like now you start adding on. Those are just like icing on the cake. So it's like at the end of the day, there's a part of me that's like, God doesn't owe me freaking anything, whether I do these principles or not. Like, like doing a first fruit offering and making sure my tithes go every time I get paid. If I'm doing that for God will take care of me in my time of need, but it's like, he doesn't owe me anything, right? Yeah. It's like, that's how I felt. That's like that's not what you were saying is you do this so he will take care of you. But I just have a hard time sometimes where it's like, if the wrong person with the right mindset, that makes sense. Like, man, I'm so blessed. Even if I lost my job and everything I own, like it still could be worse. There's always a...
Yeah, well, I think there's historically, even when we look at the Bible and when we look at, the way that we engage with the world and have done so for the last 2,000 years, I think it's always been, the conversation has always held a bit of isolation within its geographical context, right? So, I think the way that Paul talked to the people at Corinth, in Ephesus, in Rome, were all different in regards to how they need to be committed. The way in which the Book of Acts church versus all the other Christian churches we see in the Bible, the geographical undertones, therefore their understanding of societal norms, we're just all different. So it's like we have conversations that pertain to us in the way in which we operate and the way in which we live that certainly wouldn't make sense as much to other people. Now, I think that's why it's not. That's why kind of what we said yesterday. One of in the beginning, one of the biggest things we said is that it's not about possessions; it's about priorities. Because being blessed isn't about getting more financially from the Lord. There was 3 key moments where we said a few things where it was like, what if God never gave you any more money, but He gave you peace about the money that you have? What if He never gave you a bigger house, but He gave you were overflowing with joy about the life that you were going to live, right? And those are key statements to say, because for some people, it's not about getting more, and that was one of the things towards the end we said. So what if it's not about more? It's just about better.
Because a lot of people may not be able to handle more.
Well, that was essentially the tone, right? It was like, what if it's not about more? If you make $50,000 a year and you're broke, you're doing something wrong. Now, I'm not saying that's a lot of money. I'm just saying I can point 4 people in our church right now that I know are on a single family income and make $42,000 a year, and they have 2 kids, and they do just fine. But they also didn't buy the house they couldn't afford. They didn't buy the nicest cars they couldn't afford. They didn't like.
And that's the thing too. That's the hard part is like, if someone is having a financial struggle, it's probably an expense problem.
Right.
Probably not an income problem. Now it doesn't negate the fact that you may have a situation. I'm not trying to demean. I'm not trying to put anyone down. What I'm saying is
a series of decisions
or a series of decisions that led to the holy crap, I can't get my power bill paid this month.
Right.
It doesn't mean you need a $10,000 a year raise. It means let's evaluate what you do spend your money on. And that's the hard part. It's so layered sometimes, or it's just complex,
because in the world we live in, where people occasionally need help, and that's fine. We have ways in which we support people and help people, so we're not against any of that. We've watched families who were making X amount of dollars get a 7% increase or 10% increase, and the next year they're in the same amount of trouble as they were the year before. It's like you made $10,000 or $12,000 more this year than you made last year, and you're still having to ask for nothing changed for you. You got more, but you didn't get better. You didn't get to become a better steward. You just got more to do the wrong things with or whatever. Now, again, we also are well aware that some things are circumstantial, right? There are some emergencies that pop up. You can't help. There are certain, if both of your cars break down at the same time, both of them need a new transmission, and there's nothing you can do about that. 6, 7, 8 grand. There's nothing you can do about it. So we're talking about, for the most part, the people that continue to put themselves in the situations that, they just constantly are overextending themselves. Right.
Well, like you said too, it's not necessarily more, it's better. I mean, I think I would guess, if there's a lot of Christians that the more money, especially if it's about money, the more money they made, what kind of doors does that open to potentially not live the best Christian, more temptations or whatever it is. You know what I mean? Even little things, if you just traveled a lot and you're no longer able to be in a community of other believers because you won the lottery, now you can afford to travel everywhere you want to go.
Yeah.
But now you're never around a community of believers, or at least ones that know you. You may could hop in somewhere on a Sunday, catch a service, but I can just see that being hard on some people. I'm not sure that may not be a temptation for everybody, Sure. But it's just such a unique conversation to me because there's so many layers to it. There's so many things. I mean,
sure.
Is it obviously, and I don't think we did this at all yesterday, even come close, but you do and that's the hard part from a communicator standpoint, is you got to dance that line of, you don't want to sound like you're just talking about money or sound like you're trying to get more money as a church, or prosperity gospel type. Give to us today and you'll be blessed, and it's like, that's not what we're saying. It's like, in fact, you like try to go out, it's not about money.
Right. It's not about money. It's about favor. That's what, and that's a lot of what we were dealing with yesterday is trying to walk people through that of saying, like, I say, like, I've tied faithfully. I don't own 3 beach houses because that's not necessarily what favor looks like. But I got 3 people in my life that own beach houses as their vacation homes that I got the code to their doors, and then you can go stay whenever you want. Just texting you the dates, right? It's like that can be, you don't have to have more. They don't have the deeper bank account to still see how God's favor can show up in your life, and you can see those things working, whether it's those type of opportunities or other types of opportunities. And so, yeah, man, favor looks different. It's not just about having more money in your bank. It's not about just driving a better car or whatever, and we're not against those things either. If God blesses you with that, great. We're just saying it looks a lot different than we think it does.
And the fact that, I don't think you should be, I think you should be smart, because there will become a day where you have to retire, and do you have enough to live on? It's like we've seen those people that's like, as you even mentioned it yesterday, in some way about suffering for like people that just give it all away, like trying to be this, super duper Christian where, if you give everything away.
Yeah. When you turn 65 or 70, you're gonna be in trouble.
Yeah. You don't want that, you don't want to be that burden to anyone, like, like a kid or something. But being smart with what we have and those type of things. So it's just a tough conversation. It's not my favorite, at all. Mm-hmm. It's a necessary conversation.
Yeah, I had like 5 or 6 people come up to me in the lobby yesterday, and they were like, "That was the best." And 3 of them, I didn't know who they were. They're like, "That was the best message I've ever heard on tithing and generosity in my entire life." And I was like, "That's good." It's like. And trying to, we use an analogy with the goldfish and, all that stuff, which, again, you guys can go check out the message if you want to watch the full thing and get all the context of what we're talking about. But that's the goal, right? Is to help people see it's bigger. It's bigger than finances. It's really about favor. And that's why we use that word at the beginning. It's about favor. Essentially it boiled down to 3 main things, which was establishing favor, solidifying favor, and maintaining favor. So it's like, how is it how do we jumpstart favor in our life? How do we lock into it to where we can stay in that place with God? And then how do we constantly kind of maintain our hearts as we hope to keep favor in our lives? And so we kind of looked at it from those 3 different perspectives.
Yeah.
And it all started with a sushi story.
Hey, sure did.
And so we kind of moved through that. We talked about one of the main things I kept trying to say, and I'll tell you guys, is like, I want to see everyone blessed, and whatever that means for them. I want to see everyone walk in favor, whatever that means for them. But at the same time, trying to remind people, like, this isn't something we want from you. This is something we want for you.
Right.
We're on the air, live moment. No, it's like, I don't know what anyone in our church gives. Like, you can speak to that right now. Like, it's a truth.
Doesn't have access to see it or anything.
Yeah.
Few do.
Yeah.
No one else on staff does. Our treasurer and our accountant who has to enter everything, and then I can pull it up. I don't regularly look at.
Yeah.
I have access because someone has to, but I don't. Sure. I don't go every day and look and see who gave what and all that. The only thing that I would say to that is we do have a set number that if any single gift is above that number, I tell him so he can write a thank you.
Yeah,
I think that's important. So, I may not, I necessarily don't tell him what the number that the gift was, but anything over a certain amount in a single gift, I think it's $2,000 or $2,500 bucks. If you get $2,500 at one time, you're going to get you'll get a little something, maybe a call, whatever you end up doing.
It's usually a letter, and I don't, like you said, you generally don't know that number. I just know, hey, essentially it's like, hey, you need to write a letter to this family.
That's right. So, we kind of have that in there just to, and I don't know, maybe I shouldn't have said that, because if you don't give above that, you feel like it doesn't mean we don't thank you for your, once a year when we send out
we send out a letter at the end of every year. Yeah. No matter if you gave $5 that year, you're getting a letter. So yeah.
It's in the giving statement too. There's always attached to it, but there's something too though. Like, if someone, even if it was one of us, sacrificed or whatever to give a big donation, we at least want to acknowledge the fact that we saw it, and it's appreciated, and it goes to furthering the kingdom. So, but yeah, no, that is true. I mean, he doesn't have access to see it or anything like that. So, we kind of keep that as private as possible for people.
It just lets me pastor everyone the same.
It does. And, I mean, occasionally if we're looking at somebody to do something in a leadership role, we'll pull up and look at consistency, to make sure you're kind of.
And you just kind of give me a thumbs up, thumbs down.
Right. Bought into the vision of the house. If you're wanting to get into a leadership position, or we are looking at you, but, you haven't given in the last year, that may be a problem, just because all of us together, we learn in next steps too. We all help this go forward by giving of tithes and offerings, and we believe in the tithe principle. So you kind of got to be bought into that as part of the vision of the house, to play a part in it. So we'll look at consistency, but
that's pretty much it.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah,
and that's common. I mean, you're going to find that everywhere.
Yeah, you have to do it on some level.
Yeah. So, but no, that's true. So you don't know, and I think that's good. You don't want to. Money can corrupt, right? I mean, at the end of the day,
sure.
That's the downside is, in some circles, it's like the people with all the money, or we've all heard that about a church. You think of like a small church where the one family with the money kind of has all the pull because with the pastor or whatever. And it's like, we just don't want to be that. We just don't want to be that. Honestly, I don't know if we have anyone in our family, in our church. I mean, surely it's there, because you put a group of people in a room, there is someone who makes the most, but I don't know of anyone in our church that's like the wealthy family, like, that, like, you know what I mean? It's not like,
it's floating.
It's not like the Sansings come to our church and it's kind of like, that's Sandy Sansing. Everyone knows who
Sandy,
that is.
if you're out there and you're looking,
but you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I get it.
You know what I'm saying? Like
no one's floating half our bills or nothing, like,
No, it's not a thing. So, which is, to me, it's cool. Like we're not, we're not sustained by, one or two people. So that's good. So I wouldn't know who the wealthiest family in our church is. If I had to guess, I would not know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have no clue.
Yeah. So that's what I say. We're
it might be John.
We're really blessed.
You'd know it. You'd know it if it was.
Yeah. John hit the lottery. No, yeah. So that's it. So, real quick run through. We'll just kind of give you guys what we looked at. The first thing we really try to point out is that it's not about possessions; it's about priorities. God doesn't need anything from us. He doesn't need our possessions. He doesn't need our money. He owns a cattle on 1,000 hill. The gold is his. The silver is his. What you have is his. He just he's letting you steward it right now. I mean, he owns everything. The sovereign God of all creation. So, it's not about possessions. It's about priorities. He wants to know where he is in your heart. That's what he wants to know. When I say in your heart, I don't mean like saved because Jesus lives in your heart. Not even getting into that right now. What I mean by that is, where is he the priority of your heart? Where your treasure is, there your heart is also, right? So where are you storing up treasure, not just finances, but also the things that matter the most to you,
right?
Because that's where your heart is. And so we looked at 3 ways that you can walk in favor. Again, favor meaning a lot of different things. The first one is it's established in the first fruit. So at the beginning of every year, in the first quarter of every year, we do a first fruits offering, and that offering is our way of saying, God, we're taking the beginning season of the year, first season of the year, we're giving you first fruits so that you can bless the remainder of the year in our lives. So we're establishing it. Boom. God, more than I need me, I need you. More than I need to trust my finances, I need to trust you as the one that gives me all things. So I'm establishing it right now. And so that's where it's built up. That's where established it. We got different scriptures we gave. Proverbs, I know, is one of them, that we honor the Lord and with our finances and the first fruits. And so like we give to the Lord that and we establish it, we lock it in. And I'm inviting everybody, April 2nd, we're taking up our first fruits offering, and so we're challenging as many people as possible that want to step up to where we are as a family. When I say a family, I don't just mean me and Ashley. I mean, this is something my parents have done, my grandparents have done. We've always seen it done. They bring a week's salary. We'll bring a week's salary. We're giving it to the Lord in the first fruits offering. We're going to pray that God does something amazing. So we're doing that. April 2nd, if you want to join, if you don't even live in Pensacola, you can still join us for the first fruits offering. This isn't your tithes. This is above your tithes. So if you live in Ohio or you live in California or you live in Japan, you can participate in the first fruits offering. Yeah, you can participate in the first fruits offering on April 2nd.
Yeah.
All that's going to come in and we're going to take a moment in each service where we're going to literally pray over the first fruits offering because that's what the priest did in the Old Testament. They would bring it, they would pray over it, and ask God to bless the remainder of the season or the year. And we're going to do the same thing on April 2nd, so it's going to be a good time. So you can join us for that. So that's starting. So you want to jumpstart favor in your life again. Favor meaning more than just finances. If you want to jumpstart that connection to God, giving Him the first is how you start. So it's about the first fruit, but then we move to the first tenth. And that's where we really kind of talked about tithing. In tithing, the tithing meaning the first 10% of your income. Now, that was a law under the Old Testament.
Yeah.
But now we give under grace. And we talk about that on Sundays, but we usually mention it pretty briefly. And what we mean by that is, Jesus fulfilled the law. There's not a law-based requirement that we have to do this thing now. We live under grace. But what grace means is that not part of what we own doesn't belong to God. All of what we own belongs to God. And so we see in Matthew 23:23, Jesus says, after he's already come in the New Testament, he still says that the tithe is something that people should do. And so we continue to do that. 10% of our income, everything above that is an offering.
Would you say you fall into a place though that someone said, is tithing a requirement for a saved Christian now?
No.
You'd say no.
No.
Yeah.
No.
So and I would too. I don't think
it's not a requirement. Yeah.
I don't think it's like the law's gone, right? So or fulfilled.
Yeah.
But
the price to be paid.
But I do think it's still a good model.
Sure.
Still a good number. That's the number I choose to pick.
Sure. So, yeah. And so at the end of the day, tithing, we follow that because we all need guidelines because we're really terrible rule followers anyways, right? So we need some parameters to help us understand what we're doing. 10% is tithing. Anything above that is our offering. That's the model that we follow, but that's been in the model of the Old Testament. In the New Testament, you don't have to tithe to be a Christian. That's not how that works. What I will say is this, and this has been an interesting conversation that's been going on in some circles right now, is that in Malachi 3, he talks about that bring your tithes to the storehouse that there will be food in my house. And let's talk about the mission to love people, take care of people, preach the gospel, do all those things. And I believe every Christian has a duty to not just take from the church, but give to the church. In other words, think about your home. Do you just show up every day expecting groceries to be there? Or do at some point you've got to bring something to that place to put in it to be able to take something from it?
Yeah. If we were all consumers of it, it would cease to exist at some point.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. If all we did was take from it, correct, and we never gave to it, it would always be empty.
Yeah.
So do Christians have to do that to be Christians? No. Should Christians look at this and say, this is adding value to my life, and I also want it to add value, not just continue to add value to my life and my family's life, but also to others' lives. Therefore, it's important that I be generous towards it. and the Lord, yes,
Even
the
if
mission to rich people.
Even if you think of it as an investment.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, if you came here and you love it here and your family gets benefits, you know, and whatever that means, like maybe, you know, you found groups or your kids are thriving because of a kids ministry, like, and I say here because we're talking about our church, but it could be any church. You should invest in that thing then.
Yeah, of course.
You know, because someone else did for you to experience your whatever it is to you know. So it's like that, it's just logical to me.
Yeah, we say that often. You know, it's like whatever it is, I mean, we talk about that in many ways at TC in particular. It's like, what is it you love about our church? I love that people greet me when I walk in. I love the worship team is passionate. It's like, okay, cool. Well, you do realize if people don't join a team and say yes to the vision, those things don't happen. So if you continue to be at Transformation Church, but you never say yes to the vision, this can't continue to like. It's more than just finances. It's everything. It's like if you love this, be a part of it. And it's like, so trying to onboard people to that mentality, you know, but we live in a consumeristic culture.
Oh, that's
take
true.
And give nothing back. Well, and if you want to walk in the favor of God, you have to start living in a generous culture in the midst of a consumeristic culture.
Yeah.
And so it's like, if you want to struggle all the days of your life, take and don't be generous. That's what Proverbs says. So take, give nothing back, and you'll always struggle. So it's like, at the end of the day, we have to come back to the place where generosity matters. You know, tithing is the beginning of that. You know, so tithing is telling the Lord, I'm giving 10% to you, or whatever the Lord puts on your heart. I'm giving 10% to you because I know I need 100% to live my life. But what I need more than 100% of this is 90% of this and your favor. And that's what tithing is saying to the Lord, is that I'm better off having you as a priority and whatever left, knowing you're going to take care of it, than it is me doing this on my own. And so we follow that, and God's just faithful over and over and over again. And so we have the first fruits, we have the first tenth. And then, you know, we kind of closed out yesterday talking about our first love, which is, at the end of the day, this is really a posture of your heart.
Yeah.
Because if you don't trust God, if you have to trust the Lord, and if you love the Lord, you trust the Lord. If God is a get out of hell free card, you struggle with this. If God is the center of your life and you love him, you don't struggle with this as much, I should say. I think everybody can struggle with this in certain seasons, but if you love him, you trust him.
Yeah.
And therefore you can do this and say, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to trust you that you're going to take care of us. And so it's putting yourself in that position to trust the Lord and say, I don't know how you're going to do all these things, but I know you're going to take care of it because that's what you've promised me in your word. And so just leaning into that space.
That's good.
Yeah.
It was a good time. Like always, if you missed it, check it out on YouTube, on the website, or podcast, or whatever you want to do.
Yep.
Get a good feel for it.
Yep.
And then this week we start a new series.
New series this week starts name tags, actually. And so we're super pumped about that. Actually, if you got friends out there that struggle with identity and struggle with letting go of the past and all of those things, invite them, man. It's going to be a great series. So we're pumped about that.
It's going to be a good time.
So
we got a lot going on. Go to our website, transformationchurch.com, or actually if you want to know what's coming up, go to mytc.life.
Yep.
And then you'll see some of the events coming up. Our small group season ends in a few weeks, and we got Men Women Collective. So there's women got a big event. I don't know what it is. Bingo night? Bingo something?
Bingo night, yeah. I told them they should have done like bingos and baristas.
Bunch of heathens.
Coffee and bingos.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I kind of like that.
Yeah.
Never mind.
And then we got a men's event, which is a wing cook-off and cornhole tournament. So that's coming up. And then we got
listen, I was texting some guys today. I might be throwing down a new something I'm trying for the wing cook-off. Mm-hmm. So everybody better bring the A game because I'm bringing mine.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Then we got Easter around the corner. So you can register to serve at Easter. The Easter egg hunt, our big event every year we do the Saturday, the day before Easter. So
awesome.
We still need people to serve for that. So
mytc.life.
MyTC.life's got all that info. And then you can find more about Transformation Church at transformationchurch.com. or at Transformation Pensacola on Instagram, Facebook. TikTok, YouTube.
Yeah.
All the stuff.
All right, guys. Appreciate y'all tuning in. We'll catch y'all next week for another week, another message, and another message recap podcast.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, see ya.
Later.